This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. If you still want to listen, go right ahead. I am not your mother.
This week we have a very special guest. Somebody that I think you could say is maybe not the most famous outside of this podcast, but the most famous inside this podcast. You've heard her every week at the beginning of every podcast, warning you not to listen. But we finally convinced Momma Brown to come on the podcast. Hi, Mom.
Hello, dear. How are you?
Doing
Hey, Mom.
wonderful.
Hey,
Mom.
Gregor. Hi, Stevie B.
I love you, Mom.
I know.
Notice how she didn't say I love you too.
Shut up, Steve. She just told you to fuck off like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, she's telling you to fuck off.
Yeah, but she instinctively said your name, so.
I don't say fuck off to anybody.
So the reason we wanted to have you on is because somehow you managed to instill your love of Patriots football onto your three sons and your daughter too, but to the point that your three sons have started a podcast and have now gotten two whole seasons of episodes done of watching football games from 20 years ago. So
Idiots.
you're not alone in that. But I kind of wanted to get an idea of where it started from and if you expected this from the three of us.
No, not at all. Actually, I didn't really think about it. You being even fans, I suppose. I was just like, I don't know, keeping my head above water, and football was the thing that kept my head above water when all you lot were little. I really liked it when I first came. I think you've talked about that on one of the podcasts about me coming.
Yeah. Did we get that story right? Because I tell all the time. I don't even know if that's the truth or not.
Well, who the hell knows? It's all memory, isn't it? A 65-year-old woman has a variable memory. But I remember sitting with that little. Do you remember that little tiny television that we had?
Yeah, the brown and gray one.
Yeah. What size was it? I was trying to figure out what size it was.
I want to
8
say
by
like
11 piece of paper.
13-inch, yeah.
13-inch maybe, but that's the first thing that we bought. And Mick used to go off to work and leave me, especially at the weekends, because it was some kind of startup.
Oh.
And so I just watched sports, and I couldn't see the puck, and I hated basketball, and baseball was far too long, but football was, God, it was gorgeous. It was just wonderful.
Wait, why did you hate basketball?
I suppose it was a lot like netball that I played, but it wasn't netball. Does that make sense? That's an English game that girls play.
Yeah.
So there was always this kind of like netball was the best sport and basketball was not.
Right. So that's how we feel about rugby.
Yes, I don't know, maybe.
Or about soccer. It's not the real football.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just started watching football, and I just like fell in love with the game. It was because there was so much to it, and there was, you could sit and you could spend a whole game just watching the linemen playing against each other. Never mind the quarterback. So I just used to watch it, and then I didn't know what was going on. So I used to write down the signals that the refs did.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't understand, and then send Mick in to ask. Steve wasn't asking, I think was his name, was a big sports guy that he worked with. And he was like, your wife wants to know about that? I need to meet your wife,
Yeah, this is pre-Google. When you couldn't just Google.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything. I just had to figure it out,
Yeah.
See what he did after he made the funny sign, what happened,
Yeah.
But it was great because it just kept me busy. And I watched all the professional games. I was actually watching college games at that point as well. And I knew, I think it was Herschel Walker. I can't even remember who they were. I don't remember names, but I followed all of the college stuff on the Saturday and then the stuff on the Sunday too. Go on.
Did you have a college team? Like a favorite college?
No. And
Were you a Patriots fan though?
I was a Patriots fan because we went to see them. The tickets were pretty cheap because they were awful. They were awful, So we were doing all these American things. So we bought Patriots gear, like woolly hats and stuff with that dreadful logo that makes me shudder now every time I look at it. But we went down and saw the games and took peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I do believe, as something very, very American that you'd take to a football game. Who knew? But after that, you had to be that because that was the first team you watched. So, you just supported them.
But you have a history of supporting, shall we say, the underdogs? Because
you're talking West Bromwich Albion. And
yes,
you're not allowed to talk about that. That's just.
I thought you were talking about your son's sports careers.
Just your sons in general.
We were never considered underdogs. We're considered never rans.
I don't know, Gregory. I thought I got a good run for my money out of your soccer career, such as it was.
Yeah. Mom came to every UNH soccer game, even though I started one game, and it was senior day.
That was all right. I lived on hope. Yes, yep. It was good. No,
but interestingly enough, you never let us play football when we were younger.
No.
But there was a rule. It was if once you got to high school, you could you could decide on your own if you wanted.
That was the only reason I did that was because Donna Lynch's husband, Tom Lynch.
Yeah,
he played for. Who did he play for? I can't remember.
Seahawks, Bills, maybe. Yeah, I think both of those.
Yeah, I don't know. He played for some team anyway, and he wouldn't let his own kid play until high school. He wouldn't let. I think he tried him once at 8th grade in the little league stuff, whatever they call themselves, the Rams or whatever, Pee-wee, and he only lasted like 3 weeks, and he was so appalled he just left.
Wow.
So he didn't let his. So I said no, none of mine are going to play. And anyway, you'd have to go to like these practices, and I was only you'd only allowed to do one thing, and soccer was the least amount of commitment from a parent. One practice, and I just used to drop you off and then pick you up again, and all the parents would look at that woman, she just drops the kid off and picks him up again. And then I would listen to Patriots games on your soccer field in a radio. Yes, I used to take a little radio down with me and listen to the games and cheer at the wrong places. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Every time the Patriots score, go, yes! And everyone would go, what the hell? There's nothing happened on this field. And all you kids would go, it's all right, she's listening to the game. She's listening to the Patriots. Who? So, yeah, that's how, I just did it, and you just picked it up, I suppose. I never thought you'd kind of be this kind of level of stupidity.
Really?
But
well, let's be honest.
You really didn't see this coming?
No, I did not. No, I've gone off it now. I don't really watch football anymore.
Yeah.
Last couple of years.
Didn't you write a strongly worded letter? Gregory said something about that.
Oh, I have this written down because I looked it up today.
Oh shit.
Yes, this was.
Do you have a copy of the letter?
No. So to set the scene, I remember it distinctly because we're in the almost like the dining room of our house because the TV in the TV room does not work because Dad just said, "Nah, fuck it, we don't need cable until the sons come home, and then we do need cable, of course."
Yeah.
And this is 2016. It is the wild card game, Dolphins Steelers. Bud Dupree lights up Matt Moore, just helmet to jaw, knocks him out of the game. And Mom was so pissed watching it. She was like, "This is disgusting. He should be kicked out of the game." And I was like, "Well, you should write him an email, Mom." And she's like, "Yes, figure out how I can write him an email." So I went on, I Googled, how do you, write formal complaints to the NFL? And there's, this, text box thing that you can, submit your complaints. And she dictated, and I typed it in, and we submitted a complaint that basically said, "Fuck you, Roger Goodell." It was great.
How long between the hit and the submit?
It was probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay. Fresh. Anger was
How
fresh.
long was that email?
Yeah. Well, there was I think they changed the rules the year after too. because it was
Yes,
like
they
they
did.
changed it to like a targeting rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like to this day, I think it was that email that made the difference, Mom.
Yes,
You changed
absolutely.
the course of the league.
It's a shame you can't write in an English accent. Yeah.
So, Mom, who is your all-time favorite Patriot?
Willie McGinnis.
Yeah,
I knew you were going to say that.
I thought so too. Why?
I was always a defense woman, really. I mean, apart from Drew. Drew just saved my team, but
Yes.
but mostly I used to watch defenses because I used to think they were kind of like always the underdogs. It's still the same. It's like they change all the rules all the time, and it makes it harder and harder and harder and harder to be a defensive player. So they never used to get very much kind of like credit. And I used to think my defense were wonderful. So I just used to, and he was my favorite one in there. So that was it. And I went, who went to a Super Bowl? And I asked, it was one of my parents, wasn't it, at school, that got tickets to the Super Bowl. And she said, what do you want? I said, I want a Willie McGinnis shirt.
Super Bowl jersey. That's
yeah,
right.
Super Bowl
right,
shirt.
yeah.
So
I've been waiting to
stuff.
steal that off you.
Get off it.
Isn't it a Pro Bowl jersey?
I think that's a Super Bowl one.
No, it's a Super
was
Bowl
the
one.
Eagles Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Trust me, I've been eyeing it for a bit.
Well, it was really funny. Do you remember we used to wear those kind of things? Do you remember Janice Wilkins and I got tickets to a game one time, and just the two of us went?
Yeah.
because she
And
had
we used to
season
have-
tickets or something, right?
No, I don't think so. But she won some or something. She had some tickets anyway, and so instead of taking Steve, she took me because she's more of a fan than I am actually. So the two of us are, kind of like not old biddies at the time, but oldish biddies, standing in one of the end zones and the end zone areas. And you can see all these guys, look at these, old women. And then we start shouting at the game. And obviously we know exactly what we're watching. And they're going, you know what you're doing, don't you? It's really funny. But they were, you've got Willie McGinnis. Oh, great. Yeah, I remember him, whatever. It was quite funny, actually.
So, on the flip side of that, who, not on the Patriots, but in general, who is your least favorite player?
Oh, I didn't have a player, but I had, what's the fat tuna guy? The coach.
Parcells?
Bill
Yep.
Parcells?
Yep, always
The
hated him.
fat tuna.
Well, that's what they always used to call him, isn't it? Fat tuna?
Isn't it the big tuna?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fat
Okay.
tuna, big
He
tuna,
was,
whatever.
He was fat.
Oh, maybe it was the fat tuna.
Maybe
I
it
don't
is
know.
now.
Was that an insulting nickname?
I don't know. No, I just couldn't bear him. Couldn't bear him.
Why not? You think he's just a bully?
Yes, I think he was. I think I've been listening to some of the stuff he did for who's that? I can't remember names anyway. Who was the really good receiver in this season?
Terry Glenn.
Terry
Glenn.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was so awful to him.
Yeah.
And I think that he actually destroyed Bledsoe's career, because what happened was Bledsoe was playing really well, and then the big fat tuna came as the coach, and he immediately tried to change how he played the game.
Really?
So he tried to kind of like just change how Bledsoe actually threw the ball and, all this other stuff. And I think the guy got so kind of like, you talked about him chucking things around and stuff. He wasn't really good. He used to throw really good balls when he first came, but he just kind of like, he got inside his head and he just destroyed it, I think. So, but I've just been listening to episode 9. I've actually listened to episode 19.
It's unbelievable.
Holy shit.
So I'm home right now, and like the other day, I come downstairs in the morning, and she's sitting there quilting downstairs with like the cat sunbathing next to her, and I can hear the episode she's listening to, and it's like I'm like describing a story of when I got drunk and arrested, and she turns to me and she goes, "I'm learning a lot on this podcast." I'm like, oh god, we gotta put a stop to this.
I have learned a lot.
But
that was the first,
especially.
that was the first game I actually thought of all the games that you've been describing. That was the one I thought I need to go and watch that again.
Yeah.
That
The
one
Steelers one.
Yeah, where he came back in and threw it, and it's just. I mean, I watched him on the sidelines that whole season, walking up and down, coaching.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool. He was
He
so
was
cool.
awesome.
He was a
Class act.
great guy. He really was. So yeah. But as soon as he left us, I stopped worrying about. I stopped watching him. So I'm obviously that's what you find as you go through. Like you're very, very invested in particular players as long as they play for your team.
Right.
And then as soon as they leave, you're like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Brady to me is like, I don't care anymore.
How
Done.
dare you?
Done, gone.
Dude, she did that to Steve years ago.
Not at all, Stevie
2006.
As soon as he moved to a different state, gone.
There's a certain level of relief when you all move to different states, actually.
Hey,
You're up, Andy.
Sorry, Andy. You were away for a while.
Still waiting on you, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, good. See, I thought your answer was going to be John Elway. Because one of my earlier memories is watching a Patriots-Broncos game, probably mid-90s, I'd say, some like 10-ish. And John Elway is doing his scrambling thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was one of the first times I heard you swear because you yelled at the TV, "Rip his fucking leg off."
Yes, well.
Wait, I thought that was Steve Young.
No, it was John Elway. I remember specifically. Yeah.
Probably both. Yeah. Probably both. You have to know, with 4 young kids in the thing, I mean, I was just like, football was great. I could just shout and yell and,
You did that to Greg all the time.
Yeah, I did. And I did to your father on the soccer field too, all his team.
Oh, no, I meant at Greg when he's at home.
Oh, yeah. Well, he needs it.
Very naughty.
Very naughty. Well, sometimes a naughty boy. Yes. So it was just a relief to just yell. Yeah. I was sitting there thinking the other day that when I was pregnant with Gregory, I used to try and work my whole week around the fact that I could watch 3 games of football all in a row. And I used to prop myself do all the laundry, do all the food, do everything else, prop myself up in that front of that little TV with a whole bunch of pillows on my side. And I would just lie there from when do they turn them on? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
So I'd watch the 1 o'clock game, then I'd watch the 4 o'clock game, and then I'd watch the 7 o'clock game. I was in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not pregnant, but I do that too.
Yeah. Well, you were getting it in utero, dear.
Yeah.
Triple headers every day, every Sunday. Yeah.
Have you ever watched Red Zone, Mom?
No, darling. That's Red Zone is when there's all these different games at one time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That really sucks. It really does suck. You can't concentrate on the game. You can't get the flow of the game. You can't get the in and out.
What do you
What
think of fantasy football, Mom?
Oh, I tried that, didn't I?
You did,
didn't I,
yeah.
Andy? Yeah, I was pretty crap at it too.
You did all right.
No, I didn't.
You learned a lot.
I did learn a lot, yes. And I did get
made the
excited for the
playoffs, I
first.
think, yeah.
That was by accident, yes, but I did. No, I don't
Mom,
really.
it's all blind luck, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You have to know too much about the whole league, I think, and I don't do that. I'll do the Patriots and who they play kind of way. The only thing I did with the whole league was that what's his name, Payson?
Oh, the
Payson's. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The pool.
That was the only money I earned for 11 years was winning that pool twice. And I used to keep it in a pot, thinking, I don't know what I'm going to spend it on, but I've earned this money. This money is mine.
Awesome. What'd you spend it on?
I can't even remember now. Probably something nice, though, Stephen.
A Willie McGinnis jersey?
Maybe. No, that came later. All right. Anything else?
Give us your best Patriots-related moment.
I don't remember those. What? Go on.
We'll cut this part, but I have another question. Go ahead.
That's fine.
I don't remember incidents. I don't even remember last week's game. I live in the moment. I enjoy it. I can't tell you how many Patriots Super Bowls we've won, and I can't remember who we played, and I can't even remember touchdowns. But it's just, it is. So everything's new to me. But
That's because you're sitting so far from the TV, Mom.
yeah, yes,
Hiding behind the couch.
You can barely see it.
I do. Where was I with you, Gregory, the other day? And not long ago, and I was sitting on the stairs at your house.
Yeah, I was
Visited
there
me in
for
North
that.
Carolina. Yeah.
God.
Oh, right.
That was the
Chiefs
Patriots-Chiefs game, yeah.
I do. I get-
AFC
The playoff game, yeah.
Yeah.
That was...
I do get very upset if they're not playing well. What was probably the one moment I do remember is, when they were really losing was it in a Super Bowl? And I said I was going to go to bed, and Gregory was on the phone, and he's like, "Don't you dare. We can still win this." And then we were like some stupid amount of points down, and then we won it right at the end.
Oh, the Seahawks Super Bowl?
Yeah. Was that the one where we were like...
Oh, the Falcons.
The Falcons
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
yeah, when they came back.
Yeah.
You talk to Mom?
I did.
You
Yeah.
talk to anybody?
I called him, and I think it was by texting or calling. I'm saying, I'm fucked with this. This is crap. I'm too old to be doing this.
Yes,
and he said, "Don't you dare! You never leave the end of a Patriots game." Yep, I was right. That's the rule.
Of course, I remembered that.
It definitely wasn't texting.
Stone cold sober.
But yeah, they came back. I suppose that's the one I remember the most. It was really, really cool because I was so sure that they'd kind of like completely lost it.
Yeah.
And there he pulls it out. He does do that well.
Every time.
So yeah, that's probably one.
Greg,
Oh, my last question is: Do you hate the commentators?
No, the only one I hated was Kenneth Wolstenholme. Was that his name?
I don't know.
What
That you might be dating yourself here, Mom.
Whoa, way back. Yes,
I
because
was
he was.
thinking Dan Deerdorf, but
No.
you hated Deerdorf as much as I did.
Oh, is it
No.
maybe Deerdorf? Maybe Kenneth Wolstenholme is a soccer one. I don't know. You'll have to look it up. Greg, you stat check.
How the hell do I
I've been
spell
listening.
Wolstenholme?
I just did it.
Wolstenholme.
Wolstenholme?
Wolstenholme. He's a soccer guy, Mom.
Is he? Okay. So I hated him.
Wolstenholme.
From the 1950s and 60s, weren't you like?
You already stat
10?
checked Steve. I'm a stat check guy. Yes.
Oh, yeah, so Dan Deerdorf, I just didn't like. I don't really love any of them. The only guy I've really liked is Tony Romo's been lately really, really good. I love him.
Romo's good.
And then who was the guy that was really good like him, but then got a bit
Collinsworth.
no.
Joe Theismann?
No, was it Theismann?
He used to play
I don't know. I'll think
quarterback,
about it. Yeah, I know. It was a player like that I liked.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Kenneth Wolfenstein.
Yeah?
Fuck off.
English soccer announcer.
All right. So yes, I don't really care about the.
Because Andy hates them all.
Yeah.
But he does, and he probably picked it up from me. I probably did shout at them all because they used to. Well, the Patriots were so bad for so long, and they were always, kind of like berating them and saying how crap they were, basically. And that really used to piss me off, especially if it was on the television, because it hardly ever was.
That's true.
Because we never were on the television for
They're always
years.
blacked out.
Yep, always. Yeah.
How far we've come.
How? Yeah, you've had it so easy. Good Lord.
God.
We went to that game. I think we took you, Andy, as a baby.
Yeah, didn't you take your mother as well?
My mom was here, and we decided to go there, and we took you. And that was the time when it was really, really getting bad. It was really rough. And I think that was the week before they were passing that doll around the stadium, and the female blow-up doll, and doing obscene things to it in the stands. So that was when we decided we wouldn't go anymore. But my mother was like,
Grandma was there?
Yeah, I'll just take the baby and go into the car. And then she said somebody had come along and peed next to the car while she was sitting in it and things like that. It was a really rough scene, actually, when they were bad.
That story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
awesome.
dreadful, just dreadful. So yeah, so we stopped going for quite a long time because it was too rough. And then it was too expensive when they got better. I go probably once a season for a while. I used to get tickets from the parents at the Montessori school. Pretty cool.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Anything else?
I got one last question, Mom.
Yes, Stevie.
Which son do you love the most? Oh, wow. She answered it. Never mind.
Yes. Oh, yes. Always. Yes. No favorites. Everybody's just like a pain in the ass, really.
All right, who's your least favorite?
Yeah, I was going to say, which one do you hate the most?
And why is it Steven?
Yeah, that's right,
Steven, by what margin?
Don't let them be mean to you, Stevie. All right. Anything else?
No, thanks for coming on, Mom. I love you.
This is
I love you too.
Mama.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mom.
Bye.
All right, well, welcome back. Now that we've heard from the one and only, the infamous Momma Brown. Infamous? Yeah, that sounds
famous.
That sounds nefarious. Infamous. I'd say podcast famous. Momma Brown.
She's famous for more than just the podcast, but that's probably her biggest claim to fame. Yes,
I would think so. Yeah, it's what most people know her for, not for all the good work she's done with the children of America and the children of New Hampshire, being a teacher for so long and
And
all
us.
that. I don't know if she'd put that on her resume, but yeah.
Like in the bottom, extracurricular.
Exactly. Also C.
Definitely not the references, though.
No, but Greg has gotten so angry that Mom didn't say that he was her favorite, that he is not with us at the moment. And it has nothing to do with the fact that we're recording this at a different time than the interview with Mom. But he might be...
Desperate attempt to be even decent at golf.
Yeah, it might be something to do with that. But he may join us later. We shall see. You'll have to stick around to find out. You like how I teased that, Steve?
Nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah, let's talk about some football. Because we've kind of danced around it talking with Mom. But we are finally, mercifully, I don't know, what would be a good adjective for where we are right now?
What was that weird, the culmination or whatever it was?
Oh, climax of the
climax, yes.
We're at the climax of the 2002 season. That's probably a good word for this. I think this game was not anticlimactic, was it?
No, this is a great game.
Yeah, because the rest of these have been a little rough. Especially, I think last week was probably the low point of the season, losing to the Jets at home.
For sure.
I mean, I think that's going to be the low point of any season, losing to the Jets at home. But this one especially just because of how they did it and like the fact that it mattered for the playoffs and all of that. So I think we should probably apologize again to Lisa for making her actually watch that game.
That was bad.
Sorry,
although
Lisa.
The Titans one was equally as not as bad, but like it was tougher to watch.
Yeah, I mean, neither of them were good. So I was just kind of going to watch this game more out of duty than anything and just kind of skim it almost. But then when I got into it, I forgot to do that.
See, I forgot that I've always seen that highlight of Tom Brady hitting Troy Brown in overtime for like the game-winning touchdown. It was at Miami. It had the old baseball field.
Right.
And then when I first put this game on, I realized it was at New England. And I was like, oh, this isn't that overtime game.
No.
Which game is this? Like, I don't remember.
Yeah. I remembered none of this game again. I still think I just blacked out for the entire 2002, 2003 area of my life, which may or may not have had to do with the copious amount of drinking I did during those 2 years. But yeah, this, like, I didn't realize this went to overtime. And this was another one of those games where I got, I think, probably end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, and I thought, wait, the Patriots win this game, right? Oh, yeah. I actually wrote it down. There's a lot of people leaving with 5 minutes left in the fourth, like they showed the typical, like you'd see in most Browns games where people are streaming for the exits because there's like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're still down by 10, and people don't realize who Tom Brady is yet. And I actually wrote down the Patriots do win this game, right? Because like it didn't quite feel just the way the game was going. It didn't feel like they had enough time.
Yep.
But this is Tom Brady we're talking about.
It was classic Brady.
It was. So do you want to give it a watchability score before we jump into this?
I'll give it maybe 3.5, 3 in the AFC Championship or 4. It's pretty watchable, right. But we play like doo-doo for a lot of it. But it's only watchable because you knew the end of it. If the Dolphins actually won it like they definitely should have, it would be like a 1 watchability.
And and that they thought they were going to. But yeah,
if the Dolphins win, they're in the playoffs.
If the Dolphins win, they win the division. Yeah.
Yeah. Playoffs and like a home playoff game. And I think they missed the playoffs, right? The Jets made it in.
They did. And both the Patriots
and the Dolphins went from a home playoff game to not making the playoffs because they were up 10 with 5 minutes left. What a fucking collapse.
And the announcers were even talking about how they were like already starting to celebrate on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Which, whoops. Yeah, I would probably give it I'd say 3.5 would probably be about right. I was going to give it a 3 until I learned my fun fact for this game, which we'll get into in a little bit. I would say you can skip the first quarter, though.
I would say that, like, I don't know, it was cool watching Ricky Williams be awesome.
So let's talk about that.
Ricky running against us for sure. He was a beast.
So Ricky Williams, we talked about him last time. The Patriots played the Dolphins this season, and I think Greg went into a deep dive for him, but didn't realize how dominant he was this season. He actually led the NFL in rushing this season because I showed a stat where it was him and who else? LT and Priest Holmes. Going into the game, I think Priest Holmes had already finished his last game. He finished with 1,615 yards. LT had one more yard than that, but still had a game to go. Ricky Williams coming into this game was at 1,752 yards. That maybe not coming into it, but I was like towards the half.
So then rushing.
Yeah, exactly. Then he went for another 185 and 2 touchdowns in this game. He had 120 rushing yards in the first half. It's fucking ridiculous.
I had this note too. That was a 10th all-time season from Ricky, like on the NFL rushing.
Yeah.
At the time. I'm sure it's been beaten a bunch since, but still, that's a historic top 10 rushing season from him.
Right.
And
almost 2,000 yards.
They talked a lot about Jason Taylor, and he had 18 sacks, and he was like 4 away from the NFL record on that too.
Right. And they were talking about how why aren't more people considering him for MVP? And I was like, what? Jason Taylor? But yeah, he was having like an all-star year as well.
And but they didn't even make the playoffs, those fucks.
Right. Well, I mean, it is the Dolphins.
That's a pretty bad mess up. That's like a nowadays Jets to have like a all-time seasons from 2 of your players on either side of the ball and still not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets even get that close.
Yeah, they couldn't even get those guys. Or if those guys were on the roster, they would.
I was gonna say, yeah, name the best offensive player the Jets have had in the past 10 years off the top of your head.
Definitely Le'Veon Bell.
He's the biggest name.
He's probably the best offensive player, though.
Has he done anything though? I'm talking like production-wise. Has anybody actually produced?
He's on the Jets. He's just surrounded by malaise, so he sucks too. Just gets dragged down into the black hole.
Good word.
But if you get him out of there, he's just as good as he is again. He's probably the most talented player they've ever had on that squad.
In the past 10 years, anyway. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the problem, like you're talking about with this team, is that they literally only really had those 2 guys. Like it was Jason Taylor on defense and Zach Thomas to an extent as well, I'd say. But on the offense, but the offense was Ricky Williams and only Ricky Williams. Like I think, how did Jay Fiedler do in this game? He finished with, you want to guess how many passing yards he had?
I feel like he didn't have to do too much because it was Ricky Williams' show. He just had to play action off of it. Well,
this is the point I'm making. But so even with that, you'd think like he would be effective doing that, right? So how many passing yards do you think he had in this game? Ballpark.
I don't know, 200, 250?
110.
What was his completion rate?
And that included 70.4. That included long of 32. He had that 32-yard touchdown to, I don't remember who it was.
It was a pretty good throw. Yeah, I thought he played okay. He had good throws.
He missed a lot of like what probably should have been gimmies.
Yeah,
nowadays would be.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, but he had that one touchdown, which I don't think was as much him as it was like Victor Green doing what he did last week, just letting a long ball go literally through his hands for a touchdown.
That's true.
Which I think Victor Green.
They were complimenting that throw, and was like, it should have been a pick.
Yeah, it absolutely should have, and yet here we are.
Although you say Blair would have picked that, and he had that one go right through his hands on the tip ball.
He did.
He was like already running for the end. It was like on the 10-yard line. He was already running for the end zone.
Yeah, that was
grab it and put it away.
Yeah, so that was part of like the shit that was this first quarter. Like the Patriots on their first drive get to midfield and then manage to down the punt at the the Dolphins' 2-yard line, which with Ken Walter as your punter comes around. This is probably the second time I can remember this season that it's happened.
Good point. He sucked
Never
all year.
Yeah, he usually puts those 10 yards deep in the end zone, right?
Actually, no. If you look in the replay, it actually did bounce in the end zone. The rest missed it.
No, that was later on in the kickoff. We'll get to that.
I thought it was a punt, but all right.
No, I know exactly what play you're talking about. We'll get to that because that was a big play too. But yeah, so Miami starts the drive at their own 2-yard line, the second drive of the game, and Fiedler immediately comes out and throws what basically was a gimme pick 6 to Laura Malloy. The ball just like bounces off the receiver's helmet or something like that, goes straight up, and he has literally 2 hands on it, and he's on like the 7-yard line with nobody between him and the end zone, and he just butterfingers it, just drops it straight through his hands.
Yeah, he was like tucking it, and he just fucked up to put it away in your, in the crock of your arm. He already had caught it and was putting it away and just dropped it.
And he didn't. So, the Miami goes 3 and out, has to punt it. So New England actually started at the Miami 39, started inside Miami 40. And then they attempted to run a QB draw with Thomas, Patrick, Edward, Brady Jr. It was on second or third down. And it was like 3rd and 6 or something like that. Yeah. And they tried a QB draw. Brady fumbles and Miami recovers. They don't get any points out of it.
Yeah, it was that play call. I mean, looking at it now, that play call is terrible. But back then, they didn't know how absolutely awful is Tom Brady carrying and running the ball.
I mean, I guess. I mean, you could see he doesn't run with any sort of grace or courtesy.
And he's like kind of all arms and legs too. So like
it's like a newborn baby deer. Yeah. Or maybe like a newborn giraffe. Yeah, it's not great. He doesn't know what to do with his hands.
And that ball bounced right to Zach Thomas. Like he caught that on the run.
Yeah.
He was like coming in run force and just bounced right to him. He caught it on the run and kept going.
Yeah. So then of course Miami now starts at the 50 after that turnover. They get 1 first down, and then I think this is underrated. But Miami would punt from the New England 35-yard line. Like they drove all the way down to the 35 and punted it because they didn't want to try like a 50-yard field goal.
And they had a pretty good kicker, right? Alindo Mare.
Alindo Mare, yeah.
He was a big name.
Yeah. And I think like if this was happening nowadays and you had a team punting from the opponent's 35, they'd get eviscerated on like social media and like ESPN and all that. But back then, like it wasn't as much of a thing. But that wouldn't be the only time that happens too. And that
3 yards.
Yeah, and that punt was a touchback, like it bounced in the end zone. So the Patriots got it to 20 anyway. So if you miss the field goal, you get it right around the 35. So it's not like it was a huge deal. And then, the only other thing that happened that first quarter was Ricky Williams scoring his first of 2 touchdowns and basically running all over the Patriots.
It was awesome. I mean, in this season, we've seen some pretty awesome backs absolutely devastate us.
Oh, my God, yeah.
How many songs run roughshod, LT run roughshod, and now we got to watch Ricky Williams do the same thing.
I'm curious, how many rushing yards? Oh, boy. So
where did we end up on rushing defense this year?
31st.
Oh.
I don't know how you finished worse than this, but somebody did.
Who was it?
That's a great question. I don't know. Let me see if I can look this up real quick. But how do I look it up? I'm not sure. But the Patriots allowed 2,198 rushing yards on the season. How do I find the 2002 season? Here we go.
We're going to have to cut this out, us looking for a stat. So many goddamn stupid stats guy, not a shitty golfer guy. Give it up, Greg. You're not going to be good at golf.
All right. Oh, I got it. Here we go. All right. So the bottom, well, there's a ton of teams. The bottom 11 teams gave up over 2,000 yards rushing. Patriots, we decided were second to last. Third to last was the Arizona Cardinals. Behind them was the Buffalo Bills. Cardinals finished 5-11 on the season. Buffalo Bills finished 8-8. Let's see. Chicago Bears, number 7 with 2,076 yards. We've seen them. They finished 4-12. And the worst rushing defense in the league was the Seattle Seahawks. Behind
How much worse
under Mike Holmgren. They allowed 2,441 yards.
Where were we at?
2,198. So they allowed
That's
really like
big. Yeah,
200 yards.
They
allowed, god damn, they allowed an average of 4.9 yards per carry.
That is brutal.
The Patriots are 4.7, which is not much better, but fuck. Like, none of those are good.
Well, Eddie George really helped even that out because he had fucking like 2 yards per carry and still got 130 yards.
That's true, yeah. And they've done okay against, like, the Bills didn't really run it, I don't think.
Yeah, they done okay on some people, but all the big backs, the big names, gashed them up.
The Jets didn't really run it much either. That feels right. I don't know. It wasn't a great season for this rush defense, which, I mean, isn't a surprise, right?
I mean, to be fair, did you see those blocks Jay Fielder was throwing on the reverses?
Yeah, I think he was.
They had 3 reverses for 60 yards. And
the wide receiver was the. I actually wrote this down. This was the only game that I can remember where the Patriots would fall for reverses like that. I don't know if they were just so like keyed up on trying to stop Ricky Williams, which
exactly what it was. I think it was a good play.
Didn't work. Yes, Chris Chambers was the second leading rusher in this game. 3 carries, 59 yards. So, like, he's averaging almost 20 yards a carry? My math right there.
Plus the 185, you're talking 260 yards rushing.
Yeah, 256 total. This was the most rushing yards the Patriots allowed this season.
It felt like, and that's the crazy part. You can run the ball like crazy. Yep. You're up. 2 scores into 5 minutes left, and you still lose the game.
So that's where it comes down to coaching. Because I mean, the Dolphins were up big. They're up 21-7 at the half, right? Another Ricky Williams touchdown run. Patriots doing absolutely nothing. They are actually getting booed in the second quarter when they went 3-and-out after Ricky's second touchdown run. And then all of a sudden they have one of those drives where I guess you could say Tom Brady put the team on his back, but it was really Kevin Falk on that drive where all he did, they didn't have Antoine Smith in, so it was all Kevin Falk. Like, he was catching the ball in the backfield if they ever threw the ball. He had what do they call? I don't remember what the route's called, but like where he kind of starts in the backfield, goes out, and then cuts back in, and he beat Zach Thomas on that.
They were definitely going after Thomas in coverage. He was like a big run stopper. Couldn't cover Kevin.
Exactly. And so it was all he got them all the way down to the 10-yard line. And then Antoine Smith had his probably longest run of the game of about 10 yards and ran in for the touchdown, which I thought was unfair.
You know what was amazing in this game?
Deserved that.
Kevin Falk's, his chin strap.
Oh my God, yeah.
The fucking fattest chin strap with like a towel in it.
Something, yeah. It was like wrapped with.
He's always been real big. He's always had the big chin strap. But this one, in this game, it looked like a towel. Like someone just cut up a gym towel, wrapped his chin strap in it, and just wearing
but it almost looked like it had like sticky tape on it too. Like it had that like texture to it on the outside. It was amazing. Yeah, it almost looked like an oven mitt. Like he had an oven mitt there. I love that. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, but he was like, that was the picture I have in my head always has that.
It's like a white goatee almost. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But there was a close actually at the end of the first half, beginning of second, that was, looking back, was huge. Because it wasn't 21-7, it was 21-10. If you remember, Brady got him a field goal right at the very end of the half, like 40-something yards.
Oh, that's right. Yes. No, you're right.
And the Dolphins come out in the second half, and they just run.
Yeah.
He misses that touchdown pass. Like, they really should have had. The guy was wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And then they missed the field goal there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a 6-point swing that ends up being huge, right?
Yeah, because the Patriots come back and kick a field goal too. So they're hanging in there. It's like 21-13. So they're only down a touchdown. Not a big deal. And then I thought this, to me, would have been the backbreaker for most teams, where Miami's driving. They're inside New England territory. And then I don't remember exactly how it started, but there was like a tip ball, and Vrabel dove for it, and it looked like he was able to get his hand underneath the ball before it hit the ground and like pop it straight up. And Loy Malloy caught it off that bounce and returned it to like the Miami 5-yard line, but then he fumbled it, and Jay Fiedler recovered it. But then at the end of all that, they ruled it incomplete anyway. Like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Ridiculous.
So instead of like either the Patriots having it at the 5 or even Miami getting moved all the way back to the 5. Yeah. Well, even then, but like Miami would still be like tucked back at their own 5-yard line instead of being in New England territory. Now all of a sudden it's just like that wipes out and they're back at like the New England 35. But that right there, because that goes into the fourth quarter. And I think from there on the defense holds, and the Jets basically go 3 and out from that point. And then again, this is where Miami skips the 50-yard field goal and punt from the New England 33-yard line.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let that sink in. They punted from the New England 33-yard line.
That whole sequence was so dumb, though, because at that point they've been running the ball like crazy. And then all of a sudden on that, first, second, third down, they try to throw it on first and second at the end of the third here. And then they try like a draw play that, loses even more yards. And they're finally like, well, it was like a 45-yard field goal. Now we fucked it up.
Yep.
Now it's a 50. Let's punt it.
Yeah. It's third. Yeah. It's fourth. Yeah. It was 3rd and 7. They ran a draw to Ricky Williams that went for -5 yards.
Doesn't he punt it to the end zone too? So it's like a net of like.
No, this one he actually did. Yeah. So they pinned him at the 2.
Yeah.
Which, I guess makes sense. But this is where Brady starts to look like he's hurting. Like he's throwing the ball and he's like grimacing. I'm like, that sounds familiar. So I looked it up. And I think this is why instead of giving it a 3, I went with a 3.5, because I found an article it was actually from February of 2004. So after the 2004 Super Bowl, from the Boston Globe. Well, it's boston.com. And it's talking about how Brady was getting surgery he recently underwent arthroscopic surgery on his right shoulder to alleviate some lingering soreness. That soreness, where do I have? I have the quote here. So it says Brady originally injured his throwing shoulder December 16th, 2002 at Tennessee. So 2 weeks ago. Attempting a pass at the end of the first half, Brady suffered a first-degree separation on a hit from Tennessee's Javon Curse of his throwing shoulder. So Brady completed 48% of his passes in that game, one of his 3 games in 52 career starts in which he had completed fewer than half his attempts. And of course, he was limited the following week, which we just lost last week, in a home loss to the Jets, in which he completed 51%. It gets even more ridiculous. In the victory over Miami in the 2002 finale, Brady re-injured the shoulder, this time sustaining a 2nd-degree separation. And I know nothing about degrees and all that stuff, but that seems worse. And so he's basically finishing this game on a separated shoulder.
Well, degrees work this way, Andy. If you have a 1st degree and then you get another 1st degree, you add them together and you get a 2nd degree.
You said that with such confidence, and yet I know you're pulling that directly out of your butthole. Yeah, so Tom Brady is playing this. Where are we? This is the 4th quarter. He's playing the 4th quarter with a newly re-separated throwing shoulder.
Yeah, he definitely looks fucked up. And then like every pass was maximum like 7-8 yards.
Yeah, but it was still coming out pretty hot.
He was fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the throws were on target and like getting where they needed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, in between the plays, you could tell he was hurting though.
Yeah, as was Troy Brown, because I think that may have been a couple weeks ago too, where he kind of landed on
the ball.
I thought he landed like on his tailbone or something, and he was like
he was like coming down, and the ball got in between him and his tailbone, so he fucking landed awkward and kind of shot down into the
something
ground.
like that. Yeah, and so like you could tell he wasn't moving right that entire game. That may have been last week actually against the Jets, I think. And so you can see him kind of having that say because he landed on like probably I want to say it was like the third quarter. He caught a ball and landed like that again, and you could see he was in serious pain. But the Patriots starting at their own 2, both of those guys hurt, still managed to drive to midfield. And I think all the completions were braided to Troy Brown to get them out of that hole. But then they end up punting. Miami goes 3-and-out. So it's still, where are we at this point? Patriots are still down 11, right? They're still down.
No, they were quite down 11. They were down a little less than that. The 11 is when
right, yeah.
The Dolphins got to the 10-yard line of the Patriots on a pretty solid drive, running it primarily down there like you should be the entire time.
Well, the only reason they managed to drive down is because Brady got picked off. Before. And so they started with, I think, a shorter field, and then, they literally just ran it straight down the
like
Patriots
a tipped INT.
Yep.
His fault, yeah.
Tipped by Zach Thomas, of course, covering Troy Brown, which you don't see that very often.
So they have a 3rd and 3 on the 10, and they throw it. They do like a bootleg with Jay Fiedler.
Right. You've run for 180-something yards already in this game.
Yeah.
You have your offense is literally just Ricky Williams. The Patriots have not shown they can stop you once. And so
3 yards, if you score a touchdown, it's pretty much game over. There's like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Because we get the ball with 4 minutes, 44 seconds, and there's 11-point deficit.
Yeah, because when they showed the fans streaming out of the stadium, there was just under 5 minutes left. And they just kicked the field goal, so now they're up 11. 5 minutes left, and the Patriots offense has put up 13 points at this point. So it's 24-13. Patriots are down big, season on the line. They lose this, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and Dolphins go home. Our Dolphins go home to have a playoff game.
Yeah, and so this is where the Dolphins start celebrating on the sidelines. You know, they even the commentators have seen. They're like talking about it. But then the Patriots get a lifeline because they're driving. They're in hurry up. Doesn't look like the same hurry up that we're used to seeing these past 10 years or so. Like the play calls just seem a little slower, and
I guess
Brady getting everyone lined up is slower.
They didn't push it that far down the field either, because I don't think you could throw it that. I don't know.
Well, you say that, but I think you've forgotten what happens on this drive where Brady takes a deep shot to Givens, and there's a pass interference call on the Dolphins, defense pass interference, which the announcers were bullshit over.
I thought the announcers were right. It definitely looked like OPI.
I didn't think it. I thought it was a ticky-tack call, but I didn't see OPI on that at all.
Givens grabbed his jersey a little bit.
I mean, they were both grabbing each other, but there was no I didn't think there was anything on either side of it that they should have thrown a flag for, but they did.
I guess this is where our bias diverge, and I thought that was pretty clear. I mean, I like the result. Hopefully a bad call is even out, but
but you're wrong, so it's fine.
They had this wrong call on our opponent, and then that holding penalty on William McGinnis covering whoever it was on that screen pass that they gave a touchdown in the Super Bowl. That was definitely the wrong call.
I disagree with you on that. That was a legit call. You're shitty.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. I'm sure Greg would say the Patriots were in the wrong on both of those if he was here, so he can go fuck himself. So the Patriots have now first and goal on the 2 or the 3 yard line. and they immediately run the patented Tom Brady hard play action, gun it to the wide receiver at the back of the end zone, which of course is
it's our boy Troy
Brown. So injury. So now they're down 5. So they need the 2-point conversion so they can get in field goal range. And then they do. Well, it's probably. I'm sick of Fourier like now, but I'm going to give him props for this catch because it was again another. Was it a play? Was it even a play action, or did Brady just like roll out to his right? So they put Brady on the run.
Roll out, yeah.
Yeah, they put Brady on the run, and he found Fourier in the back corner of the end zone, and Fourier made a hell of a catch because that ball was coming in hot and it was high, but he still managed to snag it. So now the Pats are down 3. So now it's a game. Now it's 24-21. And the Patriots line up like they're going to kick the onside kick. And this is the play you were thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Because now, so you're down 3, right? Or if you're Dave Wannstedt and the Dolphins, you're up 3. You see, if you get the ball and you run out the clock, you win the division.
Well, Patriots still had timeouts, right? They had the 2-minute warning and timeouts.
They did. But
40, I think, when they kicked off, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But so they line up as if the Patriots are going to do an onside kick, but Adam Vinatieri kicks it deep. And their deep man wasn't deep enough. Was it Travis Minor? Travis Fort Minor, if you will, if you're Chris Berman. You like that? I just came up with that right now. That wasn't bad.
Fort Minor?
You don't remember Fort Minor? It was the rap group started by the Linkin Park guy.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I guarantee you remember him. Hang on. Oh, we're going to.
I just feel like you could have gone in different ways with Minor, like, working in a miner, like silver miner or gold miner. But yeah.
No, because this was about the right time. Yeah, it was Mike Shinoda. No, I guarantee our listeners will understand. Remember the name. Here,
you're guaranteed Mom's going to remember the name of Fort Minor, the Linkin Park guy's other rap group.
Our mother probably will remember this song because she's heard it. But here we go. I think you'll remember it too. You remember this one?
This is like a one-hit wonder, right?
I don't think they had a lot of success. Oh. He keeps talking about like all the percentages and they don't add up. That's the part I remember about that song. 80% grit and 40% wow, 39% this and 27%. I'm like, dude, you're at like 150%.
What a freaking nerd, Andy. Shut up.
Go fuck yourself. But yeah, so Fort Minor. So Travis Fort Minor does not play this well. And I think this is a coaching issue. Because Vinatieri kicks it over his head. The ball bounces in the end zone and then bounces back out onto the field of play, onto like the 2-yard line. And you can see Travis Minor's head, like brain just kind of short circuits. He's like, should I pick this up? It was in the end zone. Can I get a touchback out of this? And while he's thinking about it, the entire Patriots kick team is rushing toward him. So he picks it up and manages to get it back to what, like the 4, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, 5-ish.
Yeah, I think it was right around the 4 or the 5-yard line. And so not great. So what do you do if you're a Miami Dolphins coach? You stuck your own 4, just over 2 minutes left.
You have 241 yards rushing in the game.
You have 2 options. I'm Steve. You're going to be Dave Wannstedt, so put on your mustache for a second, and I'm going to give you 2 options. 1, nice. You can come with what got you here in the first place. You can run the ball down the Patriots' throats with Ricky Williams, who's having a career year, a top 10 all-time year. Or
the commentators said when they were preparing to kick off, they have to stop Ricky Williams 3 times.
Yep. Or, but the Patriots are going to sell out to stop that. They've already given up 180 yards to him, but they're going to sell it to stop it. Or I'm sorry. I almost got through this without laughing. Do you put the ball in Jay Fiedler's hands, who up until this point, probably has all 110 passing yards that he's going to get.
I think you have to trust Pete Carroll, your offensive coordinator.
And so you're going to choose what Dave Wonstadt chose and throw it 3 times out of your own end zone with Jay Fiedler, who, let's just take a quick look at how he did on the season. 2,024 yards, 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Did they even complete one of them?
Huh?
They didn't even complete a single one, right?
No, he did not.
At least run it on first down to get the clock moving.
Yeah.
It gets down to the 2-minute warning.
Get to that 2-minute warning.
You can try to do a hard play action, or you can run it again and then throw it on third down.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like that's easy coaching. What are you doing? Throwing it 3 times? You have 241 yards rushing. They didn't even get a single extra yard.
Ricky Williams.
I'm pretty sure since that 3rd and 10, when they fucking on 3rd and 3 from the 10 and they opted to pass, didn't get a single rushing yard since then.
You actually might be right. Yeah, I don't. They did eventually, but by that point it didn't matter. And we'll get to that in a sec. But I just want to point out that Jay Fiedler had 171 more passing yards than Ricky Williams had rushing yards on the season.
That's
one of those things is a sure thing, and putting the ball in Fiedler's hands ain't it. So Miami, makes their bed, decides to lay in it. And so then now they're punting out their own end zone. And I know we've given Ken Walter a bunch of shit for how bad he's been, but this made Ken Walter look good. Mark Royals punting from his own end zone. Probably about his own end zone. It's 4th and 3 on Miami 11-yard line. He punts for 23 yards while up 3 points in a game that you need to get in the playoffs. He punts for 23 yards. So New England starts their drive to tie up this game at the Miami 34-yard line, which, if you will recall, is very similar to where Miami was when they punted from New England 33 at the beginning of this quarter.
That's a good point.
So New England immediately goes 3 and out, but instead of punting it from the 33-yard line, I don't even know if they gained any yards on that drive, but Adam Vinatieri comes and kicks a longish 48, 49, 50-yard field goal, tie ball game. And then there's, a few seconds left. I think there's probably like 10, 15 seconds left, something like that. Something like not enough time to do anything, basically. Yeah. Actually, no, there was a minute left. Yeah, no, there's a minute left. And Miami tries to do something on the first play, but Jay Fiedler gets sacked by Willie McGinnis for 6 yards. And so now Miami's back on their own 6-yard line because they had a penalty on the kickoff. So they start on the 12, get sacked for 6 yards, and they're like, you know what, fuck it. So then they give it to Ricky Williams 2 times, and he goes for 10 yards and then -2. And the Patriots call a timeout with 4 seconds left because, and this was fucking cool. Did you hear them talking about how Belichick wanted to do the free kick?
Yeah.
At the end of the game, he was trying to argue about how much time was left and sort of thing. Yeah. So this is, of course, a rule that probably only Belichick would know off the top of his head, like in the middle of a game, and know when to call it. But it hasn't happened in a long time because it has to be like the perfect situation. But the rule is, and I found this, and we'll post the link in the show notes. Found on Pro Football Talk. And so the NFL has a little known rule called the fair catch free kick, which allows a team to fair catch a punt and then line up to kick the ball in the next play from wherever the ball was fair caught without the defense able to rush and block the kick. If the ball goes through the uprights, it's 3 points, just like a field goal. So, and like the best part, because the defense can't block it, so you can try longer yardage field goals, and the Dolphins are punting from their own 6-yard line or 16-yard line. Yeah, by the end of it. So they're trying to figure out, but you have to have enough time left on the clock. So they kind of took some time off the clock. Like they put it down to 3 seconds, and they put it up to 7 seconds, which is like, oh, maybe we'll have enough time to get the fair catch called. And then they knocked it back down to 4 seconds. And by the end of it, like after the punt, the time had run out. So like that would have been a hell of a way to end not just a game, but an NFL season. Like imagine if that's how you lose on this
kick
obscure rule. Yeah.
In the fucking 1950s.
Right. Which would have been amazing. So the fact that it didn't happen kind of sucks. But then New England wins the toss for overtime, and we all know what happens when Patriots win an overtime coin toss. And that is the usual. Although this one was a little it actually gets worse for the Dolphins. Like if we have any Dolphins fans on here, they're probably, if they're not blacked out drinking by now, they probably are about to be, because New England wins the toss, and then Miami immediately sends a kickoff out of bounds.
Yeah. With a dink.
On like the 2-yard line too. It was like so close to being a touchback, but it was a kickoff out of bounds, and it gets the Patriots start overtime at their own 40-yard line. And then they just like opened up the bag of tricks. They tried on the first play, they tried the Patton wide receiver pass that worked against Indianapolis last year, where Patton tried to throw deep to Troy Brown. Speaking of overtime, look who we have here.
Hello.
Wow.
Welcome back to Patriots Dynasty Podcast. This is week 17, 2002.
How many Lombardis do you give it, Greg?
I give it 4 out of 6.
That's what I gave it.
Good.
Do you want to be your
Andy?
best and worst?
You guys,
I gave it 3.5.
3.5. It was a great game.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched the primetime highlights.
Oh, okay.
Real barn burner, huh?
It was at the end there, yeah. It was more of just a calamity of mistakes by the Dolphins more than anything, is what we've been talking about.
Oh,
Yeah. I would hate to be a Dolphins fan in this game.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
because they've punted twice. Yeah, if they win this, they win the division. They get a home
Yep.
playoff game. If they lose, they're out of the playoffs. And they're up 11 with 5 minutes left to go. They're already celebrating on the sidelines. And then Brady happens. Well, defensive pass interference happens. And then it all just falls apart for the Dolphins. So the Patriots, we're in overtime now. The Patriots try the Patton wide receiver pass, first play. The second play is the Falk direct snap where Brady pretends the ball went over his head. That goes for 15. And then has an incredible sideline catch, which I think I was saving this take for the end of this podcast because I thought we were going to do our best and worst for the season, but I think I'm going to just come out with it now. My hot take is Kevin Falk was the MVP of this team in 2002.
I think you have some recency bias, Andy.
Nope.
I think he played well down the stretch, but I don't know if the whole season he was the MVP.
He led the league in kickoff returns.
Okay.
He had 2 TDs, right?
He's the only player in the NFL with, he had 2 TDs. He's the only player in the NFL that had a receiving, a rushing, and a kick return touchdown.
Okay.
And then, like you said, down the stretch when everybody was falling apart, we found out, you weren't here for this, but Tom Brady was playing on a separated shoulder that he suffered in the first half of the Tennessee game, which is why he played shitty in the last 2 weeks, but then re-separated it halfway through the fourth quarter of this game, which we saw, and you could see him like physically wincing every time he threw the ball. But literally the only person who was left and actually doing anything down the stretch of this on offense was Kevin Falk.
What about Rohan Davey?
What
Great
about him?
locker room guy.
Yeah.
Cannon of an arm. I think he's MVP. If we're just going to throw out ridiculous names, Andy.
All right, give me a better name then, Greg.
Troy Brown. Troy Brown is the best player on this team all season.
Yeah.
And you know I'm not just saying that because
I'm not going to argue against Troy Brown, so that's like a catch-22.
Exactly. Troy Brown has been like overwhelmingly impressive this year. Kevin Falk, I think he's had a decent year, but
I think Troy Brown started really strong, but then when he got hurt, he was never the same guy this season.
yeah. But I mean, Falk like he was a good role player. What's that, Steve?
He got hurt in that Chiefs game, remember? And he missed the fourth quarter and overtime. He had his career high.
Yeah.
He came back and he was again. And then he got
But
hurt
he never
again.
he was like started to get back into who he was, but then he got hurt again. So it like didn't quite like it wasn't the Troy Brown that we all know he can be. And I think he would probably agree with that.
Mine is going to be Willie McGinnis. He was a beast all year.
Big Willie.
I mean, yeah, but this defense also gave up the second most rushing yards in the league this season. So giving it to anybody on the defense seems.
I'm not going to lay that at Willie's feet.
He's part of that defensive line, no?
No, he's playing linebacker.
I think he's a defensive end.
What is he technically?
I think he's. I thought he was a defensive end.
Yeah, defensive end.
That's what I thought.
He's listed on Pro Football.
He's also listed in 2004 as a left outside linebacker, and in his first 2 years as well.
He had 5.5 sacks. That was tied for the team lead with old big Richard, Dick and Willie, but defensive MVPs.
No MVP.
He also had 1 interception and 10 passes defended. That's impressive.
He probably just gets his mitts up there, like JJ SWAT.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be right so it's Terrell Buckley with 12 and then Willie McGinnis and Ty Law with 10. Big Willie gets his hands on footballs. So I love that.
Big Willie gets his hands on balls.
Yes, he does. Football, not football. Yeah, so just to finish this game, though, the Patriots would eventually kick a Vinatieri 35-yard field goal to win it. And the look on Dave Wannstedt's face as soon as they kicked it was fantastic.
Classic.
Yeah. It reminded me of who was the Steelers coach at this point? With the chin. Yeah, it had a like Cower feel to it. Just the sulking with the mustache.
Yeah, they're similar looking dudes, aren't they?
A little bit, yeah. But he was also like Wannstedt was like super fired up. Like I wrote down here, he looked like a Harbaugh out there. Like screaming at the referees and like gesticulating and just like over the top, just pissed off by these referees. Which, good. Fuck them.
You hate the referees?
No, I just hate the Dolphins.
I don't even want to go down there. You want to go down the commentator route, Andy?
Let's do it. I love how you now bring it up. I didn't
really have anything. I just figured you were all pissed off about something.
Well, I will say that the game that we watched, or the feed that we watched, I didn't realize at first was the German feed.
Yes.
Die Deutsche.
Because it was the American broadcast, but it must have been broadcast in Germany, because the first 2 commercial breaks, they didn't go to commercials. They just kind of like showed a recap of what happened in the last 3 games, commentated in German. It's like, the Patriots, blah 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 blah. They lost to the Tennessee Titans, and then a lot of German.
Yeah,
and
fun
then
fact, no word for touchdown in German. They just said touchdown, like in English.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then every time there would be a game break, they're like, let's go back to New York, Jim Nantz, and then it wouldn't. It was just like shots of the sideline and like of the field and stuff, and it was just silence.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like, Jim Nantz, what do you got? It's silence. And I realized I was like,
Muchen Gladenbach
But I realized I was like Pavlov's dog there. I'm just like waiting for. I'm like, ooh, what's coming? What's coming now? We get a little tidbit of something else, and then just like, nope, salivating for nothing.
I love the German language.
Yeah,
it's a language best spoken yelled
angrily. Yeah.
You know. Yes, Einsatzgruppen.
Well, that was like Tool had that song on one of their albums. That was song might be a strong word. A track that was like super. It was just like a super angry guy reading like yelling German. And it sounds like really ominous. They have like ominous music over it. But if you look it up, he's actually just reading a recipe for how to make like bread or donuts or something like that. That's all it is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Poor Germans, you know. What did they ever do to anybody?
I will give shit to the crowd in this game though, because they were fucking silent all the way through this, and they were leaving before the game was over. Greg Brown would have been appalled.
Yeah, never leave a game early.
Never leave a game early. Take your lumps.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like they weren't even booing; they were just silent.
Yeah. I thought that as well. They were not nearly as fired up.
Yeah, this game like matters as to whether or not you get in the fucking playoffs, and like you're not doing anything. Like, come on.
Yeah, they don't know what they'd be missing if there was no fans there. You know, now that I've had to suffer through a year of no fans, as soon as I get back in one of those stadiums, whew, oh boy, you think I thought I blacked out before? Just wait.
Oh, that Gillette drunk tank hasn't seen anything yet.
The Durham Bulls AAA baseball team, like all these kids running around.
It's Greg Brown.
This makes a fucking noise.
Topless. On top of the dugout,
Dude,
no pants on.
That's, you know, how people have been talking about, like, what's your benchmark for when, like, this quarantine is over?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's going to be like a sudden stop, right? It's all going to be different for everybody when you feel like it's over. Mine is going back to a sporting event.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going back to anything, like going to a movie, too, or something like that. Like any of those things for me.
Yeah, it's going to be great in 2022 when we actually get to do that.
That was a funny way of saying 2024.
I ain't playing any more bets on when this is going to end. We already got made dumb looking with that.
Yeah, we did. I was the closest, and
I was like
even I said September, and we're already past that because it's now October. So happy
you
October,
also predicted the season would be canceled, though, right, Andy?
Give it time. The Titans are doing their best.
Yeah, dude, the Titans, they weren't going to go anywhere anyways. Let's just kick them out of the league. It's
like
because
Tannehill and Josh Allen suck, Greg.
Yeah, if you're not in first place and you get all these fucking COVIDs, then you should just have to take an L for that week.
Aren't the Titans undefeated right now in the season?
Yeah, but they suck, right, Steve?
Tannehill blows.
Hey, did you see who won AFC Offensive Player of the Month?
Oh, Josh Roller Coaster Allen.
That's right.
Because he scores all his points in the first half and then has to get bailed out by the refs in the fourth quarter.
Look at this spin zone, Andy.
We'll find out when we play him, I guess.
Yeah.
Dude, if he wins MVP, Steve, we're going to have to make you like do something shameful.
Oh, he should have
Wear
to.
the fucking chicken wing hat.
No, he should have to eat the chicken wing hat.
Oh, that sounds filling.
So Greg, did you have anything you wanted to talk about on this?
Yeah. Did you notice the jersey I'm wearing currently?
Would you like to? I've noticed it, but I've figured this is an audio medium, so we may have to explain it to our listeners.
Okay, it is a Browns jersey
with the number 10 on it.
With the number 10 on it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'll give you right now. Can you take a guess what name is on the back?
I want to say Kelly Holcomb.
You are correct.
Why did I get that right?
Kelly fucking Holcomb. Do you want to know why I wore this jersey today?
first I want to know why you have that jersey.
You had it.
That's a question I don't have an answer to. I have no fucking clue.
Fair enough. All right, why'd you wear it today?
Because this is peak Kelly Holcomb right now.
Well, that's a phrase I don't think even his mother would say, but okay.
The Browns made the playoffs. Did you know that?
No.
After this week, the Browns.
2002?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew they were in the hunt.
This is their last playoff appearance is 2002.
All right, so yeah, I think that's the perfect segue because the playoffs this year were an absolute shit show in the AFC East. Or in the AFC in general.
Dude, this game was amazing. The Steelers-Browns game. Did you see this?
No.
Then why is it a shit show?
I'm just saying in terms of like who got in and who didn't and how they figured it out.
All right, I think you're just butthurt because the Pats didn't make it.
No, like almost every team finished like 9-7. And so like so here you go. Let's do this. So
Tiebreakers?
Yeah. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiebreakers had to be figured out.
Oh, that's cool.
You're cool. So basically after this game, this was the early game. So the Patriots won. So they were now 9-7 with the Dolphins and had the tiebreaker over the Dolphins because they had, based on a better division record, the Patriots were 4-2 in the division. Miami was 2-4. So if the Jets lost to the Packers, they would finish 8-8, and the Patriots would win the AFC East.
They would be, as the Germans say, kaputt.
Correct.
We should do this, the rest of this in German at any chance we can get.
Start.
Obviously, we have limited German, but let's try and incorporate as much as we can.
So the Green Bay Packers were heavily favored to invade the New York Jets. As if they were a Polish nation. But instead,
let's go France.
Okay, France, yeah, but instead what was it, the Maginot Line or something?
The Luftwaffe?
No, there's some word.
Yeah, just drop this. Just
it's a good effort. Yeah, but so the Jets actually beat the heavily favored Green Bay Packers, which prevented Brett Favre from getting the MVP award, which you talked about. And, this is Chad Pennington coming back to haunt us again.
Chadwick Pennington
III.
Charles Chadwick Pennington III. Oh, update on
Esquire.
that. I got a guy that I work with named Chad, and I asked him today, is your full name Chadwick? Nope, just Chad.
So you now call him Chadwick, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you must.
The esteemed.
So now the Jets are also 9-7 in the AFC East, but they finish ahead of New England in the AFC based on better record in common games. They were 8-4 to 7-5 against common opponents, and they beat Miami based on a better division record, 4-2 to Miami's 2-4. So it's Jets first, Patriots second, Miami third, even though they're all 9-7.
My brain hurts.
And then that's just the AFC East. Cleveland managed to clinch the 6th seed in the AFC over instead of Denver or New England based on better conference record because Cleveland went 7-5 in the AFC. Denver went 5-7. New England went 6-6. So Cleveland barely does that because they beat the Steelers. So instead of going 6-6 and being tied with New England, they get that tiebreaker. Oakland clinched the AFC first seed instead of Tennessee because Oakland beat Tennessee in the regular season. So there's a tiebreaker there too, even though they finished with the same record. And then San Diego finished ahead of Kansas City in the AFC West based on better division record, even though they finished with the same record. Philadelphia clinched the NFC, the 1 seed in the NFC, instead of Green Bay or Tampa Bay based on a better conference record because Philadelphia went 11-1 in the conference, as opposed to Green Bay and Tampa Bay going 9-3.
You writing this down, Steve?
And then Tampa Bay clinched the 2 seed over Green Bay, even though they had the same conference record and same record because, we already know this, that Tampa beat Green Bay. Remember when Brett Favre threw a shit ton of interceptions?
Yep.
Shocking. So they got the 2 seed, and Green Bay was the 3 seed because they didn't beat the Jets, where they could have been the 1 seed.
I feel like you can just say that there was 3 12-4 teams in the NFC, and then 2 11-5 teams, and a 10-5-1 team in the AFC. So like the tops are super close, and then there's a million 8-8 and 9-7s, including the entire AFC East.
And St. Louis finished ahead of Seattle in the NFC West based on a better division record.
Just basically tied. Yeah, cool.
So an absolute shit show going to that final, which you don't even see anymore.
I need a mind map. Can you draw this for me, Andy?
Yeah, I'll make sure.
I'm more of like a picture learner, like a picture book guy.
Oh, we know.
So if you just get back to me with maybe some like crayon drawings that explain what you just said.
It'll definitely be in crayon.
Okay, thank you.
I have a wife who's a preschool teacher. I'm sure she has plenty of things that I can use to put this together.
Yeah, and you know what? Just throw in a couple of glue sticks that I can sniff and chew on as well.
They'll be in the mail tomorrow.
Actually, rubber cement. Now that I'm thinking of it, that was the shit.
That smelled so good.
Yeah, rubber cement get you feeling freaky.
Dry erase markers. Oh, love that shit.
Yeah, remember they actually made like markers that smelled like strawberry and shit?
Yeah, like that was a good idea.
That was a fucking stupid idea.
No, we should be having these kids do sniff markers.
So, I mean, the Browns make it. Yeah. And what does our buddy Kelly Holcomb do but throw for 429 yards and 3 touchdowns in the snow in Pittsburgh?
God damn.
And they lost.
Yeah.
36-33, but Kelly Holcomb, this is the best game of his career, so I thought it appropriate to wear my Kelly Holcomb jersey.
As you probably should, because you won't get another chance in a long time, I don't think.
In memorandum.
So, if you were to buy a Browns jersey right now, who would it be?
Old bonk guy.
Oh yeah, Garrett.
Yeah.
We should bring this back up.
There's a bunch of good players. Denzel Ward, he's sick.
Yeah, they have
let's go. But I want to go back to Myles Garrett because we put up a poll on Twitter after the last episode asking which was worse. Was the Albert Haynesworth stomping on some dude's face worse, or Myles Garrett bonking some dude on the head with his own helmet? And I was adamant that it was a 350-pound run stopper stomping on your head multiple times with cleats on. But Twitter disagreed, and it was unanimous that it was Myles Garrett.
That's recency bias.
I linked both videos too. Like, offensive lineman got stomped on the face. I have a bone to pick with our listeners who are on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just a little.
They are incorrect.
Yeah.
You don't get a concussion or nothing.
Yeah. They finished the game.
Yeah. And was it Duck Hodges or was the other guy? No, it was the other guy.
Quack. Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on.
I looked at that wild card weekend, and there was another crazy game in there.
Oh, yeah?
The 49ers playing the Giants, and they came down from 38-14 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter to win 39-38.
Also, this is the week that Mike Vick went into Lambeau and fucking mushroom stamped the Packers.
He did. Yeah, that was his coming out party, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Yeah. What was the Super Bowl this year? 2002. Oh, that's right. It was yeah.
Gruden Bowl.
Yes. Whoops. With that offensive lineman who went missing.
That's right.
Yikes. Tough look. So do we want to do best and worst for this game?
Well, I mean, let's make this point clear that the Browns had a better season than the Patriots. I mean, I think that needs to be on record here, like explicitly said.
Yes, with Kelly Holcomb leading the way.
Yes, the Browns had a more successful season than the Patriots.
They did.
The Browns.
Yeah. Our Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, yes.
We are the Browns.
Yeah.
What a fucking dumpster
Was it
fire.
a more successful season than this season of the podcast?
No, this podcast is much more successful than
Those
anything
Browns
the
are
Cleveland
good.
Browns have done in the past 20 years.
I like how confident you are in that take, Andy.
I mean, we've actually probably had more downloads than they had ticket sales, right?
You said 400 and
No,
something.
good fans.
I don't know. Nobody's going to watch those games.
They,
Well, my
yeah,
best
they're
and
still
worst.
about-
Want me to give it to you while I got it on the top of my head here?
You give me some
No, you have
best
to
and
go
worst.
last since you don't watch the game. You're gonna take.
Well,
all the-
mine's not about the game, so I won't steal any.
Shocking.
I mean, my best is Kelly Holcomb. Obviously, I mean, I'm wearing his jersey, and then my worst was the
Chad Pennington.
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
He goes to the playoffs and just gets stomped by the Jets, 41-0.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
14 of 31 for 137 yards and 2 picks.
that could have been us.
Ugh,
Could have been on 3 picks to tie.
he's overrated.
He is overrated.
that-
Choke artist in the playoffs.
That was my favorite narrative.
Oh, yeah. It lasted for so long,
yeah.
too.
It
And
did.
usually
It
at the hands of the AFC East, apparently.
yeah.
It was not the Jets, it's the Patriots next to you. Beautiful. You'll love to see it.
Well, Steve doesn't. Do you hate Manning as much as the Jets, Steve? Because I'm more of a Manning hater than a Jets hater.
No, I hate the Jets way more than I hate Peyton Manning, but I hate Peyton Manning
Really?
a lot. I also hate Peyton Manning after football, which everyone else seems to love.
Really?
Oh, no, I like him.
I like him now. I didn't like him when he was playing, but he's grown on me now.
I'll always hate him, just like I'll hate everyone from the Jets.
But see, I always secretly liked his commercials too, like the cut that meat commercial. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I mean, I
Like,
never
he could-
disliked him as a person.
Yeah, he could laugh at himself, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I hate
as a
LeBron.
player,
I hate LeBron, but I won't. I'll continue to hate LeBron after the fact because LeBron is just a phony. Like off the court, he's a fake ass bitch. You know?
who is the NFL version of that?
Peyton Manning.
No, Manning was self-aware enough to know that, like, who he was. It's a good question. Who is the
LT?
But the thing is, LeBron is so
LaDainian Tomlinson?
transcendent that he doesn't need to be like that.
True.
He's like, he wants people to like him. Like the thing with the book, that's the one that got me the most mad. He keeps pretending to read books. Like walking into the locker room and shit, or like after practice sitting on the sidelines. Like no one, the only reason he's doing that, he's fake reading a book so you'll think he's smart, so you'll like him more. That is just so like, so thin-skinned and like just ungenuine that like that drives me crazy. He's a bitch. He's a beta. He's a cuck.
You done?
A soy boy.
Okay.
Jesus.
That's how you really feel, Greg.
I just listed all the millennial terms I could think of.
I mean, and this is kind of rich coming from someone who can't even read.
I know,
Bro,
right?
I've read 16
Just
books this
asking.
year.
You were just asking Andy for fucking picture books. Of the playoffs.
I don't think Where's Waldo counts as reading books.
Well, wouldn't
I
you
don't care how
rather?
long it takes.
I'd rather be thought a fool and then be like, this is the whole setting expectations thing. Then people are like, oh, he's actually not that dumb. Than to be like, oh, I'm this like fucking eloquent, like reader, thoughtful guy. And then you ask him about it and he's like, well, I didn't get past the first chapter. Like,
What's the quote? It's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah.
Which, as a podcast, I think we've removed all doubt.
Yeah. We've done a bad job at that.
I mean, that's kind of the nature of a podcast, though. Isn't
All
it?
right. I have 2 bests
All right.
and 2 worsts.
Ooh, okay, let's hear them.
Players I always did like. Jason Taylor, loved him.
Mm.
Thought he's a super classy guy.
I could never like him. I don't know. He always seemed to trash talk Brady all the time, so that always got to me.
They showed a replay where he sacked Brady, or he like hit him right as he threw it, and he definitely could have body weighted him. You know, he could have just like put his whole body into Brady and just gave him a hit on the ground.
But when Brady threw the interception, Jason Taylor came up to him and grabbed his head and kind of gave it a wiggle, which
I think
That's cool.
that's
You
tough.
don't like that?
Brady didn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
a goddamn pick.
I mean, it was tipped. Wasn't
He never
his
did anything over the line.
it's-
Fucking
yeah. I agree with Steve here.
All
Like he's not playing dirty. He's
fault.
just
I'm
like
sorry, I'm defending my quarterback, but yeah,
defending my quarterback. He's not your quarterback. You never even met the guy.
he's my quarterback. This is my podcast. He's my quarterback.
I didn't know that was so controversial. Jeez.
That's
My
my
my other best is the Troy Brown touchdown, of course. But if you notice, he doesn't even spike the ball. He immediately grabs it, runs to the ref, and he's already calling for a 2-point conversion, holding up 2 fingers.
Of course he is.
He doesn't even bother celebrating. He goes right to what's the next play? Let's go. 2-point
There's
conversion.
work to be done. Yep.
Yep.
Love
How
it.
do you know he wasn't saying, "Oh yeah, that was my second touchdown"?
Because it wasn't. It was his first.
Yeah, maybe he was confused with a different game.
Troy Brown did.
Troy Brown is perfect in every way.
Yeah, I've never met the guy either, but I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Love it,
it's fair to
Greg.
say that. I think it's fair to say he is what he looks like.
Yeah. And then the worst was, I don't know if you noticed either, Andy, but Belichick had his hands on his head like he was tired the whole game. He looked super nervous the whole time.
He did.
Every
Yeah.
time
He
they got
looked
him,
very
he was-
un-Belichickian.
Yeah.
Although they
So
were
was
talking,
Bel-
they talked a bit about like what the locker room was like, and they were saying that at halftime, you know, they throw it down to the guy in the field.
German guy?
Nope. They were saying that the team was very quiet in the locker room at halftime, and they were asking if it was a quiet resolve or something else. Turns out it was a quiet resolve. But they were also talking about how Belichick the entire season had not brought up the previous year's Super Bowl, like not once, except for, I think it was either before this game or before, it must have been before this game. Like the week before, he brought the trophy in, put it down on the table during a team meeting, and basically said like, this is what we're playing for, and then walked out of the room. Fucking typical Belichick.
Greatest coach ever, right, Greg?
I don't know if that would motivate me. It's like, yeah, no shit, coach.
I just got another
It's there,
worse.
and you ain't ever seen it before because you weren't on the 2001 team.
I just got another worse, and it's Greg.
And we'll get to the
Sorry.
season best and worst in a second. Let me do my best and worst.
There was more Glovegate in overtime, no less.
Oh,
Glove
it was.
From
He was-
Phil.
Was he raw dogging it today, or was he?
No, had the
No,
gloves
it's
on.
really
I think he wore the gloves all season, and said it like didn't affect anything. You just decided to wear
Yeah,
them
well,
this
it
season.
clearly did. If they didn't make the playoffs,
It didn't though.
That's
The
how-
separated shoulder had something to do with it.
that's why he ended up getting that other chick pregnant. Was he's like, you know what? No gloves. Here on out. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh god damn! This podcast has changed its tone since Greg showed up. I have to say.
You know, EEI would be like on the radio the next day saying, Tom Brady didn't wear gloves. We would be in the playoffs right now, beating the shit out of Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah,
for sure.
Oh my god, yeah. Greg from Worcester, you're on.
I don't think Belichick's that good. He shouldn't have brought out the Super Bowl trophy. That wouldn't motivate me.
All right, I'll shut up and let you guys talk. Thanks.
Can we fire Bill Belichick and hire Dave Wanstead? Because he seems to have a better control of his team.
All right, what are your best and worst, Andy?
So Rohan Davey needs to get more playing time.
Oh, actually, talking about Rohan Davey and the German broadcast, instead of showing commercials, just showing random ass shit. They showed this recap of a Patriots Dolphins game from, I don't know when, must be 2000 season maybe.
I was gonna say either 2000, like 99, yeah. Where
Rohan
it was kind of the
Davey,
same situation where I think it was late in the season, and I think the Dolphins had, if they won, they were in the playoffs. So it probably was 2000. And something happened on the last play of the game where they
I could
decided.
not say it because it was all in German, but something happened.
But basically, it sounded like a half hour after the game was ended, and they were like the Dolphins were celebrating in the locker room. They brought everybody back out because the last play didn't count, and gave the Patriots one last play, which was a Hail Mary that you want to guess who threw the Hail Mary?
Drew Bledsoe. Doug
Nope.
Flutie.
No. Michael
Brown.
Bishop. Michael Bishop.
Michael Bishop.
Oh, I thought that was Rohan Davey.
No, that was Michael Bishop, which is even better. So Michael Bishop threw a Hail Mary, and it was an absolute duck, and it landed on the 20-yard line. So they came back out half hour later. They show guys in like their flip-flops and stuff, like just didn't bother getting dressed. And they did that one last play, and that's what it ended up being. And they're all like, I can't believe we waited half an hour for that garbage. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
is
a great one.
ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. So my best was it was the same thing. It was a German highlight thing where they're showing the two games of the Dolphins before this one. They beat the Raiders in week 15, which is good for them because the Patriots couldn't do that. But then they went to Minnesota and lost to the Vikings. And did you see how they lost to the Vikings? It was
The last second field goal,
an
right?
end around to Randy Moss, who beat the defender who came into the backfield with a spin move and then threw a touchdown pass. It was fucking amazing. I will put that on the I'll put that in the show notes, a link to the highlight, because actually I probably have it here somewhere. Let me see if I can pull it up for you boys, because this was like a play and a half.
I actually missed that little break. I was like getting a drink or something. I just saw the last second field goal that they lost on too. And the Vikings sucked this year, right? We talked about them earlier.
They were not good, but I think they were like top of the league in offense, but also in turnovers and lowest, like bottom of the league in defensive everything. But
They're
this is the play here. Whoop. And then look at that throw.
Wow.
Absolute dime.
Off balance.
Yeah.
Right in his face.
So Randy Moss hucking touchdowns to beat the Dolphins the week before this.
Mike Tice sighting there.
Yeah. One and only. But so that was my best. My other, I don't know if this is a best or a worst. Ted Johnson got injured, and the backup for him, I'm gonna try attempt his name. Magalua Tuateli was playing middle linebacker for part of this game until Ted Johnson came back. And I just thought that was an amazing name. Magalua Tuateli.
ESPN just has him as Ula Tutele. Tuitele.
Yeah.
It just has him as Ula Tutele.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, that must have been what they called him then. But when I looked him up in Pro Football Reference, he's
that must be his
Tuateli.
his anglicized name,
or his full name, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just call him Ula because it's hard to do. Let's see. Another best was all of the fish puns that were
fish puns
that showed up in the crowd. Yeah, there's a couple of squish the fish pictures, like signs of people holding up, and then they kept going back to this group of four ladies who with handmade shirts, Patriots logo, drawn as if Steve Brown had drawn them, and then it says "Gone Fishing" on them.
Oh, wham on the salmon.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any.
Oh, it's off the top of the head.
It's not bad.
Wham on the salmon.
I don't know if you guys have any favorite fish jokes, but now would probably be the time to do it.
No, I'm gonna keep this moving.
Mine is what do you call a fish with no eyes? Fish.
So I get that D-.
It's not good.
Steve, are you a little tired today?
No.
You seem like impatient with us.
It's just you who's fine until you showed up.
Yeah, we're going along great, Greg.
Right. Well,
You know what?
if
Let's
you want to talk about something, we're here for you. Okay.
I want to talk more about
World War II
with Germans, Greg. Could we talk a lot more about Germans and Germany?
Yeah, sure. So here's what happened. So the Germans wanted it to be a really quick war, so they tried, but they had already had World War I, so they knew that they weren't going to be able to just like go right in because the French border was hugely fortified.
And then they went,
yeah. So what they tried to do is try to go up through Belgium and back around, but Belgium, unbeknownst to them, had built these huge like fortresses into their hillside, and that got bogged down, and then everything went shit from there. Yeah, and we can keep going if you'd like. I've listened to all of the
Did you see that guy in
World War
the
II.
stands, Andy, with who the bald dude that painted his head silver?
Oh
And
yeah.
did a great fucking Pats logo on his head, so it looked like he was wearing a helmet. He's a big old fat bald dude.
Yeah.
With just silver painted head like a helmet. It looked awesome.
He was like the Patriots fireman Ed, I thought, for a while. Like he was at every game. I've seen him in a bunch of games since after that. I guess my worst is probably just the stats in this game. The Patriots should not have won this. I have a screenshot of 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the game. This is where the Dolphins have the ball on their own 4-yard line and decide to throw it 3 times. Here's the stats so far in the game. The Dolphins have 241 rushing yards at this point to the Patriots 91, and 350 total yards to the Patriots 280, and the Patriots have turned the ball over twice. And at this point, this is where the Dolphins decided to throw the ball 3 times out of their own end zone with Jay Fiedler.
Fiedler on the roof.
Who, as we've decided, had 171 more passing yards than Ricky Williams had rushing yards. So, maybe wrong decision.
Did you know that this Miami team was brought to you by McDonald's? Did you know that?
I did not. Why was that?
James McKnight, Randy McMichael, and Scott McGarren. Do you like that one, Steve?
Yeah,
Give me a smile.
Oh, he's pulling out all the stuff here. Oh, Greg, you missed my Travis Fort Minor joke. Steve did not like that
Minor. I remember
I
that.
didn't get that.
He made me play Fort Minor. Remember?
You don't
the
remember
name.
Fort Minor, Steve? Isn't that
Now remembers
it's like
the name?
Linkin Park kind of, right?
It was the guy. It was the rapper from Linkin Park.
Yes.
On his own.
I remember the one song once Andy played it.
Everybody does. Yeah. All right, so I think that wraps up this game and the season. Did you guys have any best and worst for this 2002 season or the podcast in general?
Well, I didn't prepare anything, Andy. Maybe if you had said before we recorded that we were going to do this.
So my worst, like Steve said, is Greg.
Why?
It's the last episode. What did you expect for us to talk about?
Okay, well
We've
then
done a
take that into
season-ending
consideration
episode
when I do my best and worst.
Oh, you get to go first.
Go ahead.
Hey, you're going first.
Oh, Greg, you go first.
All right. My worst is Andy, and my best is Steve. Come on, Stevie baby, hit me with a back.
My best is myself, and my worst is
Damn it! You can't have 2 worsts. It's not how this works.
my worst. My worst is some of these games of them not being able to stop the run and just get.
I think my worst is your guys' like pessimism about this season. I think this was a decent season. There's some good games. Chiefs game, the Bears game, this game. Those are all barn burners. And you know what? You're spoiled. And your winning privilege is showing. Okay, Patriots privilege.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh,
Patriots
boy.
privilege.
Yeah,
That may be
not true.
that may have to be the name of our new podcast. Patriots privilege.
I mean, it's true.
It is.
You just expect everything handed on a silver platter every year.
Yeah, you're right.
Why
I do.
wouldn't we?
Don't even know what you got.
I mean, I agree, Greg. This season was better than I would ever have thought it would be before we started it. But it was also super frustrating. I'm sure Belichick felt the same way of them not being able to stop the run at all.
Yeah.
It fucked everything up.
The running, yeah. I mean, even this game, Ricky Williams, $185.
Woo. That's what I'm saying.
Running right through us.
As did everybody
I
else.
love Ricky.
Patriots.
Well, I mean, that will come to fruition early next year, won't it? This whole Belichick versus the team in the locker room, won't it? Not to
It
give
might.
any spoiler alerts, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to
Tune
come
in
to a
next
boiling
time.
point.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a break from game recaps for maybe a week or two and do some of the stuff we've saved up. We have some other semi-related episodes.
Erotic novel reviews.
Oh, we have to do that too. We have
Wait, that Kiss thing was an erotic novel. I thought it was like a fucking stupid show on Amazon.
I think we're talking about different things, but yes.
No, the Cam Newton book.
I know. I'm fucking around.
So yeah, we'll have a fourth and loud review. We'll have Greg's deep dive into not necessarily these Miami Dolphins, but your Miami Dolphins and the Richie Incognito scandal.
Bully ball.
That was a throwback one. We'll actually have Mike on for that one.
That was hilarious though.
Yeah.
That was a good episode. I think we went below the surface a little bit there, and we got into why Andy's so mad all the time.
At the commentators specifically.
Why was I mad? I don't remember. I mean,
have you seen The Vow?
No.
Have you seen The Vow on HBO about the Nexium? It's a documentary about the Nexium cult.
I've heard of that shit, but I've never seen it.
I've never even heard of it.
Oh, it's sweet. Well, what I'm getting at is we should brand ourselves.
In like some sort of weird sex thing, right?
Yeah, with my initials.
We're just brothers.
Why don't we just like brand Browns on our brown eye?
Yeah, well,
how big is your brown eye? You can fit the whole word on.
How big is yours?
Yeah,
not big enough.
We're talking circumferences here.
Radius or diameter?
Yeah, it's big and only getting bigger.
Oh boy. Browns on Browns indeed.
On Browns, look at the Browns jersey today.
Yep. Talking about your brown hole. Well, that feels like a fitting end to the 2002 season.
That sigh. Yeah.
Talking about our buttholes. Because I don't care what privilege I have, that still feels like it felt like a slog going through some of these games. So.
Oh, that's because you watched them, Andy.
Well,
here's a little pro tip. Just don't watch the games they lose.
Well, fortunately, that's not going to be an issue soon coming up here.
Yeah, slog resolved.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. These next 2 years are going to be they're going to be a fun watch.
They are. Yeah.
Let's make a prediction. Who do you think your favorite player is going to be in the next 2 years? Just based on or maybe like an unsung hero that
you mean outside of Troy Brown is what you're saying.
Right. Like mine's obviously Ty Law, and I think that's going to be reinforced. But I was thinking that I'm really interested to watch Richard Seymour come into his own, because he was starting to play well this year.
Yeah.
But he was like a perennial Pro Bowler these next few years, and I want to see his dominance up close.
I would say Rodney Harrison is probably going to be an interesting thing to watch too, like you said, because he comes in for Lawyer Malloy and kind of takes over that spot and becomes kind of the heart of that defense and setting that tone. But when does Vince Wilfork come into the picture?
I think he was a rookie in 2004. Yeah.
All right. So I think he'll be interesting to watch too.
Love me some Vince.
David Gibbons.
Ooh.
Because I'm always been a huge guy for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Deion Branch. Even like if you just say the two rookie receivers, because both of them come into their own.
That's true too. That's a good point. Well, shit. Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
That's right.
Next season on the Patriots Dynasty podcast.
Dun, 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 dun. Bow, 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 bow. I think I just mixed two songs there.
I think you did. I think there was at least a couple.
Ended with the fucking sports.
It's on a roll though, so
I was feeling it first. Yeah.
Well, we saw. God damn. And as always, if you've enjoyed this
year, baby.
If you've enjoyed this season, this episode, any of it, let us know. Leave us a review. ratethispodcast.com/patspod. And since nobody's doing that, we might try and make it easier for next season. We'll find some ways of
how are we going to do that?
We might have a phone number that you can text and or leave us a voicemail at.
We should just do what they do for the voter registration and just send like 6 things in the mail every single day, even though I'm already fucking registered. Like, God damn it, dude.
No,
I get it. There's an election.
The ballot to every single person.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. But just send it once, for God's sakes.
Oh, no. We're going to send it multiple times to anybody that we can. So if your address is on the internet and you're listening to this, expect to see some mail from us soon.
Mm.
And we'll accept your handwritten.
Ooh. Do you guys want to make predictions for the November election?
No.
See you later.
See you later.
Jesus Christ, Greg. Came in like a wrecking ball, I believe the song is. Best describes that episode.
What time did you guys start?
7:15-ish.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No, we talked
What
about the
happened to
entire
Brandon?
game. Well, if you looked at the WhatsApp, you'll see that his car broke down on his way home, so he wasn't able to get home in time for it.
Or maybe
Even though he
exist.
Even though he stayed up to watch the game, taking notes on how shitty Victor Green was for nothing. He could have had Ed Reed in that spot. Victor Green was not good.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah.
All right. Good. I'm going to start doing this every week and just show up halfway through.
Well, the thing is, like, you can't just join anymore. I have to let you in. So we'll see how that goes.
That's true.
Ooh, that's a good point.
So
Steve,
if I roll without you, we'll just not let you in.
Okay. That's fair. I fixed my golf swing, Steve.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
I don't have to aim like 60 yards left anymore. I mean, it's still pretty erratic, but at least now I can aim straight and hit it straight sometimes. Very excited about that.
You know what you should just do? Is you just wear that Kelly Holcomb jersey golfing, because then people
They
are like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
They don't let you do that.
He's accurate. You're just playing the wrong courses, dude.
Yep.
You want to? When are we gonna play?
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything near Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah, we should try and find that out.
October 17. I'm playing Columbus Day if you have that off, and the Saturday after that,
When's Columbus Day?
Monday the 12th.
Of
Monday
October?
after next, yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably my next time.
Are you playing in a tournament that day, Steve?
Yep.
I think I have it.
We have this nice guest room.
Yeah, it's coming along nice. Look at that. It's very
Yeah.
professional looking.
Looks like a real bedroom instead of fucking.
Yes. Remember it was on this wall? You can see a little tucked in back in there.
Uh-oh. Stevie's growing up.
No more giant cocks there now while you're lying in bed.
Thank fucking God. About
Well.
goddamn time.
Not drawn ones, anyway.
All right, fellas. I will see you next week. Yeah.
Right.
That's the
By the
plan.
way, stop playing with your mic when you're on this because it's like constant like
Yeah, we
I
can
don't know,
hear it every time
background
we touch
rumble.
Okay.
You should
That's
not.
not going to happen.
Like,
Definitely.
Ah, I will. I'm sorry. I just have fidgety hands. That's all.
I know you do.
I know, me
I have
too.
fidgety
fidgety.
too.
Yeah.
That's why I have
I will
stuff to
try
play
my
with.
best. All right, guys.
All right, boys. Next week, do we want to do the Cam Newton thing? The
Sure.
erotic novel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good. I've got the other two like queued up already, so we've got a couple of weeks of leeway before we got to jump into 2003.
All right.
Cool.
We can do a special Thanksgiving episode.
We could do a special Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.